All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is NBA's pre-lock show. StreamYard was not treating us right earlier today, but here we are. We're still making it happen. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm not going to do too much fluff in this one, but the pro here is the one and only multi-NBA tournament DFS winner, B-Dubs, is here and able to join. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing good. Hope everyone had a good Christmas yesterday. Wasn't too good of a slate for me. I'm not sure how everybody else did, but a lot of buzz. So definitely looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, Christmas was not great, but Monday was fantastic.
Yeah, we smashed on Monday.
We had a 70K winner. He crushed, but can't talk about that right now. Let's get into today's slate. First off, we have a game I like a lot. We have the Hornets going up against the Wizards. For the Hornets, Brandon Miller, we found out he's going to play, so there wasn't really too much injury news that changed things here. But who stood out for you, Brandon?
Of course, the obvious LaMelo Ball. He's just way too good, and it's a great matchup. So definitely want to make sure I'm at least around field weight, but definitely don't mind being over the field on him. I do wish Miller was out because that would only help him more, but I still like him either way. And then the only other guy I'm forcing in is Mark Williams. I think he can be a bit sneaky. I wish his minutes were a bit more secure because you got Nick Richards too, of course, but he's been pretty solid and good points per minute guy and can do well in this matchup as well. I want to like Bridges too, but he's just a little too inconsistent for me. I would have played him if Miller was out, but probably not going to get there.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy at all by not going to Bridges today. It really is more of a I wish Brandon Miller wasn't playing type of play, but he's only 6,800, super soft matchup, so I have a 2% min on him. Just trying to get some exposure to this game that I like a lot because of the soft matchup against Washington. LaMelo Ball, I have a 30% min on. I'm going to be significantly over the field there. And then Mark Williams, I also have a 7% min on. I'm sharing my screen so you can see exactly what I did here. I didn't put a cap on anybody here. Uh-oh. Did we just get some Bucks news?
Oh, did we? Didn't see that. See. Yeah, I don't see anything for the Bucks yet.
Yeah, I don't see anything yet, Drew, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not as bad as it seems like.
That sucks. Of course, that's the last game too.
Yeah, so we'll get there. Next up, we have the Washington Wizards going up against the Hornets. For the Wizards tonight, they've had quite a few guys injured and out for a while, but nothing that really impacts this slate too much. The nice thing here is that they have fantastic matchups against the Hornets. I know you have a few of these guys showing up for you. Who are you looking at?
Yep. My main one that I really, really like tonight is Sar. I love that you can play him at either power forward or center, and he's still at a good price. And I think he can really do well in this spot. So I'll have a good chunk of him. He was a core play, but with the Chicago news, he kind of dropped just a bit. So I'll still be over the field, but probably won't be a core play anymore. Koulibaly, I like as well. I wish he was a bit cheaper, but we've seen some of the upside he has. So gonna match the field on him. Brogdon, I'm still going back and forth on. Not 100% sure on him, but if you wanted to play him, I wouldn't tell you not to. Yeah. And then the last guy I'm forcing in is Jordan Poole. I wish he was a bit cheaper as well, but he usually has a good history against his team, so he'll be a leverage play for me, and I have a 10% min on him.
Yeah, I definitely get the Poole leverage play. I was close to taking a shot on him because he's so low owned, but ultimately I couldn't get there because of just how many really good guard plays there are on this slate. But I get it. Bilal and Sar are the two guys that are standing out the most for me. It looks like Bilal might have fell a good bit, so I'm gonna have to make some adjustments here, and you'll see that just because of the Bulls news we got. I'm gonna have to continue to make some adjustments and boost these guys up even more than I already did. But I'm gonna put a 15% min on Bilal, and then I had to put an 80% cap on Sar. Great matchup. I mean, it's actually more of a neutral matchup against the Hornets these days, but good pace environment. He's only 5,400. I put the 80% cap on him though because he's still SAR and he's not the most consistent NBA player we have. But this is a spot where he makes sense, and so I'm willing to have him as a core play today. Malcolm Brogdon, he's more of your I don't even want to call him streaky, but he is a pretty streaky at this point. He has to be efficient with his shots. He doesn't score as much with like the peripherals, and so Brogdon is just someone I didn't force into lines today, but I understand why people are. And then that's pretty much it. So Brogdon's only showing up in 3%. George is showing up in 3%. Not enough to really talk too much about them. Next up, we have the Thunder going up against the Pacers. Another decent total game. All of these guys have a ton of upside, especially in a matchup against the Pacers that isn't one that we're typically too worried about. But I don't know. What were your thoughts here, man?
Really quick, we did just get Giannis and Dame are out. So
Okay, of
that
course.
changes a lot again. So
everything you think you know about this slate, just toss it out the window. I'm just glad we got it though.
yeah,
At least
seriously.
we got it, and we have time. And yeah, we know what to do at this point. We've seen it. It's gonna be Portis, and that's gonna make SAR's ownership just go down lower naturally. So we'll see what happens there. But for the Thunder, who are you looking at?
So mainly three guys for me. So SGA, of course. I just like this matchup, and he's somewhat low owned compared to guys like LaMelo and Trey. So um, I say it all the time. I just like playing him, especially when he's lower owned. So I'll be getting some of him. I love Jalen Williams, and I'll be way over the field. He'll probably drop some more with the news we just got, but I'll at least be double the field on him. And then Hartenstein, I have a 10% min on him. He's just in really good form, and again, the matchup, and we've seen the upside from him as well. Mm-hmm. I did think about Dort, but definitely don't need him now with some of the other value that opened up, and he also hasn't really been playing too well. So
yeah,
not passed on him.
But I thought about it too. I'm following you on this. Originally, before we got all this news, the Thunder were showing up naturally in my lines where I didn't have to force exposure to them. Guys like SGA, Jalen Williams, Hartenstein, like they were showing up right around field weight exposure, so I didn't have to touch them. But now they're not showing up for me at all. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the 10% min on SGA, on Williams, on Isaiah Hartenstein, and that way I'm going to at least have them in the mix. I'm not going to be over or under the field on them, but they'll be in there. And then the Pacers, I didn't touch at all, especially once we got the news that Turner was playing. Did you look at them?
Yep, I put a 5% min on Halliburton. The matchup is not the greatest for them. We know OKC is a great defensive team, but I just like Hallie's price, and typically when he's this low on, he just smashes under the radar when nobody's on him. So the fact that he's like pretty much 1%, you don't need much to get over the field. So I just threw a 5% min on him. Again, just to get different from some of the other pay up options like Trey and LaMelo.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a solid philosophy. It's going to be hard no for me, though, with this Pacers team against a really good defensive team. I'm not looking at any of them, but I do like the leverage you can get on these guys and a good positive game environment for them in general, the total. So I get it. For the Heat, Jimmy Butler is not playing tonight, which automatically makes these guys a little bit more interesting. The matchup, though, against the Magic, tough defensive team that even with all the injuries they have, still don't like to pick on them too much. But did anyone stand out for you?
Yep. Hero for sure. Not my favorite spot, but especially with Butler out, we seen it last game. He just has great upside and usage increases. So definitely want to make sure I have some of him tonight. Jaime, of course, is popping quite a bit. I did cap him at 40%, but I'm curious where he'll land once we refresh with the Bucks news. but he's somebody I don't want to go too crazy on. He just really hasn't been the greatest, and not the best matchup either. So I think there's better value spots outside of him. And I'm really not liking anyone else, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't do Bam. Tyler Hero, we know even when you're going up against a tough defense, you can still shoot threes and still let some things happen offensively. And Hero, kind of like Butler, can randomly go off in these tough matchups. And at 7,900, I'm willing to take a shot on that when he's pretty much the highest usage player on this team at this point. So 10% shot here. I am almost certain his ownership's going to go down a good bit. So probably 5 to 10 is where I would like to be. And then Jaime, I just really don't understand why he was showing up as much as he was before the news. I think post news, he'll start showing up a lot less for us, which is a good thing. That's not bad. I put a 30% cap on him. I'm comfortable being anywhere in that 0 to 30% range. And then that's pretty much it. Let me make sure there's not any other random Miami Heat guys showing up. No, they're not. Okay, cool. The Magic going up against the Heat. Again, another defensive team, but the Magic are missing so many guys. The weird thing is it hasn't really benefited anyone too much in particular at this point, just because these guys have been out for a while. But did anyone stand out for you here?
Mainly Queen. He's getting a start and is a decent value play. He was a core play for me, but I still have to rerun. And after we get updated, the DS updated, I do think he's going to be higher than 8%. I know it kind of feels chasey because he just put up like a 30-point DraftKings point game, but I'm willing to go there again at the price. So don't know if it'll be a core play, but I'll definitely have a good chunk of him. And then I did have a little bit of Bataze showing up. I don't mind going there either, but I really didn't force anyone in here.
Yeah. And what was that name you just said? Who was that?
Goga Bataze.
Oh, I heard something totally different, but yeah, Goga. For me, Suggs. I have a 20% min on him. He's 7,800, a little pricey, but again, he's the only guy on the team who really has a decent usage rate. And so that's the guy I want to force exposure to. He's another guy, kind of like Hero. I expect to be a little bit lower owned than 20% at this point, but I could be wrong. So I'll just keep the 20% min on him. And then outside of that, no one stood out for me too much. Queen, I don't think is too chasey. I think we saw him see an increase in minutes with some of those guys that have been out. He's starting now. I do think that gives us more of a solid floor in that like 20 to 30 point range, which is great for his price tag. How much Queen do you think you're going to get? I know you said he was a core play for you. Are you trying to be in like that 20 to 30% range at least still, or
Oh yeah, for sure. If he's not core, I'll actually be higher than what you said, probably around 40%.
Okay. So yeah, I'll put a 50% min on Queen then, just to make sure he's showing up a bit more as a value option. That's good. So yeah, I like that call. That was good. All right, next up we have my favorite game on the slate, or at least it was. I think it still is, even with the Milwaukee news. But we have the Bulls going up against the Hawks, just two really bad defenses that, we can pick on. So for the Bulls, Josh Giddey is out, Ao is out, Dasumo is out. Who else is missing? Matas Buzelis is out, and then Lonzo Ball's been out for a good bit. But I think I love everyone on this team, but who do you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm probably playing everybody on this team now. I'll start with Zach LaVine. So I never enjoyed playing him, but with all these guys out and against Atlanta at 7,100, it's way too hard not to get there. Not sure how much I'll have yet because I still have to rerun, but I'm sure I'll have a decent amount of him. You can say the same about Kobe White. He's one of the more inconsistent guys on this team, but shoots the ball quite a bit. So just need that shot to fall. still a decent price for him as well. One guy that I think will probably still be slept on is Patrick Williams. He's one of my favorite pivots off of Jaquez. I do hope he sees an increase in minutes. He's kind of been playing like right under 25, but he's been solid the last couple games, and the matchup is beautiful. So I'll be double the field on him. And then, of course, I'll put him in on Vooch. I was playing him before the news, but I might it's at 5% now, but I might do 10%. So.
Yeah, and I know some people have been talking about THT. Honestly,
I forgot about him. So I'm gonna have a lot of THT, to be honest. A lot of THT. Yep.
Oh God, why?
It sounds gross, but
Zales is out.
Yep. When guys are out and he sees an increase in minutes, like he's shown up the last few times, and just another good value play and one of the best games on the slate. So I'm going pretty heavy on him.
I mean, I think for me, the painful thing, he's what? So he's 3,700.
Yep.
We need 6x, so like 3.7 times 6. 22. Yeah, he can get like 21, 26 fantasy points has been kind of what he hits a little bit more consistently when he sees more than 20 minutes. So yeah, he can definitely get to 6x. We'll have to work on ownership again, but how much is too much THT, I guess, is the real question. I never trust this guy. I am biased as all hell against THT. I'll be honest. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
I'm probably going to have at least 80%.
Dang it. He is so chalky. Okay. So yeah, I didn't realize that. If he's going to be in that like 40 to 50% ownership range, I want to be around field weight. So I'll also put a 50% min on him. But to talk about this game, this team, this is the one I am building around. I have a 20% min on Vucevic. I have a 50% min on Zach LaVine. He's my favorite play on the slate. And yeah, he's burnt us before, but I don't really care too much about that. I have a 30% min on Kobe White and a 25% min on Patrick Williams for all the reasons you just mentioned. But end of the day, love this team today. And then next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks going up against Chicago. The Hawks are relatively healthy, but let me double check, make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah. Trae Young's still questionable, right? Or did we get clarification on that?
Yes, I don't think I've seen that news yet.
Yeah. No, he's available to play. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
One less thing to worry about.
That's Bogdanovich is ruled out, though.
Okay, good. Bogdanovich ruled out. That Trae Young news came in right with the Giannis and Lillard news, and so a little easy to forget about. But yeah, you are not wrong, Tyrell. But let's see. So the Hawks are a team I like a lot. Trae Young was showing up for me as a core play, but his ownership has started to fall a little bit for me, around 50%. Jalen Johnson, I'm around 25%. And then Larry Nance Jr., I have a 10% min on. That's pretty much it for me for the Hawks. Oh, and Clint Capella is a core play, but would love to see that change a little bit with some of this news, but we'll see what happens there. So I didn't really do anything in the DS besides putting that 10% min on Larry Nance. Did you do anything a little bit more aggressive here, or what was your thought process?
Yep, I lowered Capella just a bit. I put a 40% cap on him, but what I did with I'll kind of jump ahead on this, but I actually like Zach Edey more than Capella tonight. So I think that's even though Edey's kind of chalky too, I do like that as a pivot off of Capella. So currently I have him at 23%. So I'm okay with being around Phil Wade, but I just don't want him as a core play because chalky Capella has failed us more times than that, even though it's a great matchup. But we have some other great plays in his price range as well.
Yeah, the thing about Capella has always just been that he splits minutes. He can't play more than like 25 plus minutes, or he rarely sees 30 minutes, which is when you start to get more excited about center options because they get more rebounds, they're more involved, they're scoring more. So I am with you. I only capped Capella at 80%. Yeah, I'm just not going to think about that too much because I like the matchup and we know how aggressive he can be. I'm just going to keep it. And then I like how much Jalen Johnson's showing up, but Trae Young's really the priority. He's the guy I want to see and make sure that I'm over the field on him. So we both like this game a lot. Can't say enough about that. Next up, we have the Raptors going up against Memphis. Second highest total game on the slate. One that I feel like is going a little under the radar, primarily because of the widespread, if I had to guess.
Yep.
For injury news for Toronto, we have Jakob Poeltl out, so Mogbo will start, and Boucher will see a little bit more minutes too. And Walter is questionable still. Anyone that you're prioritizing here?
So I wanted to take a shot on somebody between Barnes and Barrett, and I just landed on Barnes. So I put a 10% min on him. He hasn't been the greatest since coming back, but we all know the upside he has, and it's the second highest game total on the slate. So we say it all the time. We like to play the studs with high upside in spots like this. So he's the main guy I want to get to. And then I might take it off with more value opening up, or I might leave it, but I had a 5% min on Boucher with Podol still out, and he's been pretty solid the last couple games. So he's somebody I don't mind taking a shot on. But again, with guys like THT and Queen, might not need to get there.
Yeah, that's my guy, Chris, right there. But I can't do it today with just the way the rest of the slate has went. Like you said, it's really just a high total game. I wanted to force some exposure, so I put a 15% min on Barnes and moved on. No one else stood out enough for me, and no one else shows up naturally in the DS. So it is what it is. Next up, we have Memphis going up against Toronto. Memphis is pretty healthy, which is why you're not getting a lot of exposure to these guys naturally. But the matchup here is great going up against Toronto, at least attacking their front court. But who do you prioritize, if anybody?
So I did bump up Edie just a bit. I still have to rerun, but I'm at least trying to be double the field on him. So it'll probably be like in the 30 to 40% range now. I did have some Aldama showing up, but I'm sure my exposure to him will drop. I did put a 15% min, or I'll probably drop it to 10% on Jaren Jackson, and then 20% min on Ja. I just like this side of the ball a bit more. And again, it's one of the highest game totals on the slate, and I want the guys who can smash. So I'll be getting a few guys here.
Yeah, it looks like Walter was just ruled out, and Jamal Sheed were ruled out. Not really anything that moves the needle for me too much. Nope. But Jaren Jackson Jr. is my guy on this slate. Only 7,200. Like I said, you can attack the Raptors with the front court. Jaren Jackson Jr. was the guy who stood out the most for me. I have a 20% min on him. You can call it a leverage play. You can call it a pre-lock show play. Doesn't matter, but he was a priority and one that really stood out for me on this slate. Zach Edey, I like a lot too, Brandon. He was showing up naturally for me in my lines around 23%. If he starts to fall, he's another one of those guys I'm just keeping a close eye out for, where I'm willing to put like a 20 to 30% min on him to make sure he's showing up enough and to have good leverage, like you mentioned there, Brandon. Aldama, I do not love. What did you do with him? You mentioned
he was somebody I was okay. The DS was giving me some of him, but I'm not going to force him in. So if he falls off, he falls off.
Yeah, I capped him at 80% because I didn't want him to show up in too many lines, but he's still showing up in too many lines. And so I'm hoping that changes by the time we get to lock. We'll see. For the Rockets going up against the Pelicans, Rockets, when it comes to injury news, Dylan Brooks being out is really the main thing here. That's why guys like Amen Thompson are showing up as much as he is. And then I put a 16% min on Jalen Green. I'm going to change that to a 10% min. I just like his matchup. He's been really bad, though. And then guys like Fred VanVleet were showing up a lot earlier today. Now I'm just around field weight exposure around 17%. And then Easton's showing up in 2% of my lines. He'll be gone by the end of that. Anyone you like here, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm in, of course, which you don't really have to do anything to him. Usually when his number gets called, he shows up and plays really well. So I do like him quite a bit tonight. I do like Şengün a bit too. I think he was popping on the sim model, and Messi is someone who never scares me defensively. So he's just somebody I wanted to take a shot on tonight. And then kind of similar to you, I'll be around Phil Wade on Van Vliet, around 15 to 20%. And you kind of made my decision for me, but Jalen Green was somebody I was on the fence. He just hasn't been playing too well, but
Not been good.
Not been good at all. But I think he was looking pretty good on the sim model too, and he's just due for one of his selling games. So I'll probably force him in and follow you on that.
Nice. And then for the Pelicans, same old guys. Zion's not playing, the usual. Who did you look at here?
Mainly just two guys for me, CJ and Murray. I put a 10% man on CJ and 5 on Murray. They're just a good price and both have great upside. So wanted to throw them in the mix.
Yeah, for me, again, I don't love picking on either of these two teams too often, but I did have DeJounte Murray just stand out a good bit. I say it pretty often, but I don't like picking on Houston with pretty much all of their players besides whoever I believe Fred VanVleet will be on. And today that's Murray, and so Murray's the guy that I'm going to force exposure to here. And I have a little bit of like guys like Messi and other pieces, and CJ McCollum showing up in a lot of my lines just naturally, but I didn't do anything to force that, and that might go down again once I update with the news from that Bucks game. Next up, we have the Nets going up against the Bucks. For the Nets, we have Ben Simmons listed as questionable still. I don't believe we've gotten that news, or no, we did. He's available to play. So Ben's playing. Not really anything worth to talk about then, or worth talking about when it comes to injury news here. Bit of a bummer, but it's not even worth talking about who would have stood out if Ben Simmons didn't play. But who are you looking at here?
You can always make a case for Cam Johnson. He's just been the guy on this team as of late, but I just think there's better spots than him. And I get wanting to play Simmons, but I'm not. So, I don't like. This is one of my least favorite teams tonight.
Do you look at Simmons in the sim model?
Yeah, that's what I thought about him for a second, and then I kind of slapped myself out of it. I'm like, yeah, there's just better plays in my opinion.
So many good point guard options on the slate. And it's like, if Ben Simmons is the guy who ruins me today, then so be it. If
that's what I told myself. Like, if he smashes tonight, I'll just have to live with it. Like,
if Lillard was playing, I would have been more open to it, but he's not. And he is showing up in 7% of my lines naturally. So that's going to have to be it. I'm not going to force it. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. But the sim model likes him. I don't. So we'll see what happens. I know you mentioned Cam Johnson. None of the Nets stood out for me here. They become a little bit more viable with this game probably staying closer with Giannis and Lillard out, but I still don't love it. All right. For the Bucks, we have Giannis and Lillard out. We literally just got that news. We know Bobby Portis is probably going to be in the vast majority of our lines, right?
Yep, I would say so.
He's 7K now, so we're not getting the super discount we had last time around, but I think he's still super viable.
Yeah, it's definitely getting to the point where I won't say you second guess it, but that price is climbing, so you're not as confident as we have been before when he's in the 5K range. But with that said, he will probably still be a core play.
Yeah. We saw him put up 70 in the situation against Washington. We saw him put up 46 points against Chicago. At this 7K price tag, for him to hit 7X, we need him to do pretty much exactly what he did against Chicago. The tough thing here is that the matchup is tougher. Washington and Chicago are good defenses, or sorry, really bad defenses. Now going up against the Nets, you're getting a slightly just better defense than he's been facing, but not elite or anything to fear by any means. So, yeah, like you're saying, Harlock, the price tag is scary, but I'm still going to continue to play him. Let's see. It looks like he's not showing up too much naturally yet, but I might just need to boost him a little bit to make it happen.
Yep.
Because I just know I'm playing him. So that's all I really care about. Any other Bucks stand out for you, though?
Yeah, I think you have to mention Ryan Rollins. He should start again, and he's been looking decent. But again, you can say the same that we said for Portis. His price is starting to climb, and for someone like him, he can be a little scary to play too. But I'll probably have a decent amount of him too. And then only other two guys I will probably make sure I have shares of is Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton.
Yeah, let's see. Crazy. It looks like the Bucks really aren't showing up all that much. I'm gonna have to force them in. At least the ownership updated though, which is nice. So I do want Portis to show up in about 50% of my lines. Middleton, he hasn't been seeing more than like 23 minutes, which is worrisome at his 6K price tag. Let me think this through a little bit. So if he sees 24 minutes, he's been averaging around a point and 35. Could that give me a tournament winning upside? 1.37 times 24. 32 fantasy points will not cut it. So I'm not going to play Chris Middleton. Brook Lopez, looking at the matchup a little bit more, pretty neutral. He does see an increasing usage, so I'll just put a 5% min on him. I don't really care about Ryan Rollins. Yeah. Dang, am I really only forcing in Bobby Portis here? I don't know. Let's look at some of the point guard value on the slate. Ryan Rollins. How much is he? He's like 4,500.
Yep.
I've been projected for 26. He's the best in this range. Yeah. So
yeah, that's why I don't mind getting him, because we don't really have value at point guard. So
yeah, I'm gonna put a 20% min on him and then let the DS run and see what we're working with before we hop off here. Okay. Any other Chicago players? I feel like we went through them pretty quickly. Was there anyone else who stood out for you? Like, did you also put like a 30% min on Kobe White, or what did you do there?
I actually didn't have to do anything for him. He's at like 40% for me.
Okay. Dang. Yeah, my core play has changed pretty dramatically. Bobby Portis is showing up in a lot of lines now. I might as well get rid of the 50% min. And then THT is showing up in a lot of lines. Again, I'm biased against THT. I'm still going to cap him at like 80%. I really don't like him. Kobe White's fine. We've been burned by him before, but I'm not going to let that get to me. Zach LaVine's good there. Clint Capella's good. Queen, I did that. Ryan Rollins is showing up a bit more. We have LaMelo, Johnson, Amon Thompson, Patrick. Yeah, I like what I have. I'm gonna ride with this. I don't really think we're missing anyone at this point. DS is updated and locked and loaded. Anyone you want to touch on before we go, Brandon?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I think I hit on everybody I like.
Yeah, I know we had to run through this one a little quick, guys. Yeah, a little quicker than normal, guys. We had the technical difficulties earlier, but glad we were able to at least get this one through. And we'll be in the chat for a little bit longer if you all need anything. But good luck tonight. And won't see you tomorrow, but we'll see you next Monday. And have a good rest of your week. Bye, y'all.